Breakaway. He's so strong.
Yeah, with two riders, two teams represented at the front who have riders who can finish it off on the Citadel de Namur, with, of course, Miriam Girmay as the top favourite. This forces other teams to do the work. And most notably, Lotte Destiny will have to get to the job right now. Look at the light here. That is absolutely gorgeous. It's 5:18 local time. Sun sets in about 3 hours from now, so we really get that lovely light that has inspired many a painter in the past. Tim Wellens there with number 87. Watch out for him. He was very important, of course, in the win on Sunday for his teammate. But they have other options. Baroncini, very active there with number 81. Rui Oliveira. They also have Antonio Morgado. He's a little bit further back, but that seems to be his style.
Just saw the experience of Brian Cockar there. He was sitting in third wheel for Cofidis, and he came off the wheel of his teammate Axel Zengler. He wanted to take the first line into that sharp left-hand bend, guide through, hold the pace.
This is Thibaut Grosso. Why not try the under-23 cyclocross world champion and under-23 Dutch road race champion? A huge talent. He's doing a great job here. Comes from the development team. So gets a shot here to race with the World Tour squad at Alpecin de Koning. And they all want to get to the front to Georg Zimmermann and Mats Woudt-Smit. Here we find Mason Holloman with number 123. This is not really an organised chase on these two riders. This is basically every man for himself.
Absolutely, and you see once you've made that left-hand turn into this narrow road, how it's just been an acceleration. The elastic snapped, one rider's lost the wheel or let the wheel go, and it's, 10 riders, 11 riders who are sort of going clear now, but there's no real organisation at the moment per se. It's all coming back together. But still, their gap is slender. I mean, this is where we're going to get to one of those steep sections, Jose, that you were talking about. And you can see here from the rollers how steep it starts to get to. And you get to 10% very shortly.
I was just about to say that, indeed. This is hard, but then also we must take into account that we have headwinds still coming up. Thibaut Grosso gets to the front of the bunch, doing the work there for his teammates. Johan Jacobs does it for his teammates, with Serrano, and hopefully Aramburu is also still up there. Arnaud Delis moving up. We're getting closer and closer to the Citadel de Namur. I'm sure you have the specs ready there for us, Hannah. What kind of climb is that? Our finish climb.
Our finishing climb, well, you make that left-hand turn into the base of the climb. It's you go from the tarmac, the asphalt, you go on to the pave, you've got the cobbles, and immediately it's 6%, and that's very consistent all the way until 1 kilometre to go, where it starts to level off ever so slightly, but it's a false flat, so you're still at 1%, 2%. It's one of those climbs where you've got several hairpins as well. So you need to make sure that you're not too far back, because the way that if one team wants to try and take the control, if you find yourself in 20th or 25th, 30th position and you're too far back, it's going to be so hard, because the way that you will be flicked from and almost on the end of the tail whip on that climb, you just want to make sure that you're having as smooth as possible up the climb itself. And we already saw earlier on, and we've seen in the past, how those hairpins, particularly if one team takes the control and they set a blistering pace, how difficult it is, and you can see those splits start to open up.
We have
9.5 kilometres.
Yeah, Cofidis at the front.
Confidence at the front, number 43, you've got Brian Coco right on the wheel, Axel Ziegler. That's really interesting because for Brian Coco, he could have a great opportunity, great shot, but of course, his young teammate, the 25-year-old, very, very fast finisher indeed. 15 seconds for this duo, Georg Zimmermann and Mads Schmidt here. They're such strong, committed riders for this kind of breakaway too, and they're going to have them in the sights. Now that what's left of this peloton, it's very reduced after that climb that we had that they crested with 15.5 kilometers to go. Now they're going to have this section where into the final 9 kilometers, you've got the fast descent that's going to be coming. So you've got it's only around, what, 3%, minus 3%, and then they'll take you right down onto the river. You'll make that left-hand bend, that left-hand turn where it's really sharp. You'll run yourself along the river front. But again, you're going to be they're into this cross headwind at this moment. Jeffrey Soup moving his way up on the far left in the white jersey. You can just see him there.
And we have the Spanish champion sighting for the first time there with Alexa Aramburu, of course. Yeah, that gradient of the Citadel de Namur, my sheet here says 2.9 kilometers, 4%. But that is because the final kilometer is basically falls flat. The first 2 kilometers are really, really hard. But this is an interesting move, Hannah. They are fully cooperating.
They are, and I think the fact that they're two riders who are cooperating together, they're fully committed. As I said before, you've got Georg Zimmermann, who is so strong in a breakaway, and I think back to last year's Tour de France when Pello Bilbao won the stage in the Tour, and it was Georg Zimmermann who was in the breakaway with him that day, or one of the riders that was in the breakaway with him that day. And even after such a hard, arduous stage into Izoard, he was still second, and he'd still made a lot of attacks into that final. He's just an incredible person to have in a breakaway, and they're giving them a hard time. I mean, 41 seconds. We saw that time gap before. It was hovering nicely around 15, 16 seconds, but now we're getting to almost crunch point here because everybody behind needs to fully commit here.
Yeah, we see some new teams there at the front. Total Energie are showing they had a very successful Tour of Istanbul. That was won by Mathieu Bourgodeau. A rider who could do pretty well on these kind of finales. He's there with number 161 on the wheel of his teammate Sandy Dujardin. So that is a team that is interested. We have Movistar committing Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe. Still have to get used to that one. But 45 seconds, that is an interesting one.
And you can lose a lot of time into that final. Let's not forget that in the final 3 kilometers, particularly if teams and riders have still got riders at their disposal, the duo up front could lose a significant amount of time. And the fact, at some point they might start to look at each other. Then you've got quite a bit of the cross headwind right along the riverfront too. So when you make that left-hand turn with 5.9 kilometers to go, you're going to be in that cross headwind. It's certainly going to favour those behind better than the duo out front here.
But then we do need an organised chase, and from what we saw before, it was a little bit mishmash. But now Movistar, UAE, and also Bora Red Bull, there we go again, Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe are setting the pace. I absolutely hate these things there. They are well signalled, but at this pace they're going 70 at the moment. It's not ideal. But let's go back to the river. There we are. And the Meuse River, very important for this region, and also the reason that we have such a large fortification here on the confluence of the two rivers, the Meuse being the biggest one, going from here to Liège, to Maastricht, and all the way to Rotterdam. Not all the way to Rotterdam, by the way, but never mind. And the Sambre, that's why we have a town here. That's why 2,000 years ago the Romans already had their first fortification, and now this is the citadel that was a point of sieges and conquest, Hannah, throughout history. because if you have a fortification like that, people like to besiege it. It's a given. But now it's mostly known for the fact that we have lovely cyclocross races here, and of course every year this Grand Prix de Wallonie. Last year Gonzalo Serrano won in a sprint with Dylan Teuns. The year before it was Mathieu van der Poel beating Biniam Girmay and that same Gonzalo Serrano. So Biniam Girmay, he knows this finish, he's got the form, he's got the team, he's got a few teammates still with him, but they still have two riders at the front, including one of his teammates. So what is the strategy going to be there for Intermarché?
It works to their favour. They don't have to do the pulling. They can just sit tight, be patient, be ready if it does come all back together. And 33 seconds now with 4.6 kilometres to go. Ben Zwihoff commenting himself on the front. Roger Adria, who's sitting on his wheel, the Spanish rider. Moving up, Total Energy have got a couple of riders too. Bergamo, you already mentioned, could be a great shout for today.
Cofidis very active there with Axel Zinglet, who's a good candidate for this one. Yeah, Georg Simon, he is participating. I wonder what the instructions by Dimitri Kleis, the sports director, are going to be. Are you going for this 50% chance with the man at the front, or is this still working as bait for the riders at the front of the peloton? Because it makes them work harder, and Intermarché wants he can sit back there with Biniam Girmay and let the rival teams do all the work.
Yeah, it's a perfect scenario, perfect situation. You put yourself in a really good position to win the race, 50% chance of winning the race, but you've still got Biniam Girmay, who's got one rider still there. He's a little bit further to the left side now, but you've got another rider who, if it does come all back together and they can see the duo just up ahead, you've got someone who's one of the fastest of all the riders here in this peloton at the Grand Prix de Wallonie. So right now it's working right into the favour of Intermarché Wanty. For Movistar, they're now committing themselves. Aramburu, you can see the Spanish champion sitting in third wheel. This is a really, really hard pace, and soon they're going to turn off this main road. They're going to make that left-hand turn, and then you're going to go from the nice smooth road, you're going to be onto the pavé, onto the cobbles. Everybody's wanting to try and fight and hold the position too. They want to make sure that they go into the base here on the left-hand side.
There we go.
In a good place.
Here we go, the last bits of asphalt before we hit the slopes of the Citadelle de Namur with Georg Zimmermann and Mats Wout Smit. There we go, cobbles are incoming. There's a few pinch points on the climbs as well where it narrows. Of course, for these two riders, no problem at all. But it could be a problem for the peloton. What I noticed, Hannah, is that Biniam Girmay is quite often really close to Arnaud Delis. On his wheel, and now a little bit further back, but usually quite close to Arnaud Delis.
Yeah, and he knows he's one of the big candidates, the main candidates, the favourites for the race. And so you can just see him sitting right on the wheel of Delis' teammate. He's wanted to make sure that he's well positioned. He's always so well positioned. Biniam Girmay is a really clever, smart, tactical rider. Uno-X mobility taking it up.
Wait a minute. Why is Arnaud Delis already in second position? Of course, I mentioned to you that Jasper de Buist has been third on 2 occasions. But finding Arnaud Delis already there at the front with a teammate a little bit further back, that is quite early.
Yeah, we only got a short glimpse, but as you can see, it's even just to hold your position right now. You can see sitting in second wheel, capitalising Uno-X mobility, doing the work. Confidence moving forward with a couple of riders.
Georg Zimmermann, Mats Wout Smit still holding on to that 15-second gap. We've got less than 2 kilometres to go, and this is going absolutely all out here on the cobbles. Oh, Smit, he's bending a little bit. Is he braking? Is what it looks like he is. And this might be a fantastic day for Georg Zimmermann. He clearly indicated to the sports management that he feels really, really good.
And if you're feeling really, really good, and he could tell that he's going to get to a point where the gap's coming down to 15, 16 seconds, and if he's got something left in the tank, you saw there Mads Schmidt start to capitulate, and for Georg Zimmermann, if he's got the legs, look how hard he's making this for Lotto Destiny to try and bring him back here. And already the amount of time that Mads Schmidt has lost, 18 seconds, 1,700 meters to go. And don't forget, in 700 meters, that's when we start to get to the plateau. It starts to flatten out. It still continues to climb at around 1%, 2%, and then it kicks up again at the finish line. So, they're making it, Intermarché wanting to making this very, very difficult for the chase behind, and have Lotto Destiny, the team who've been in control all day with Thomas de Gent for their main protected rider, have they made a huge, huge mistake here?
I think Georg Zimmermann is gone. Winner last year of a stage in the Criterium, 2021 his first professional win in France. Intermarché Wanty, of course, are also a team from Wallonia. He starts to suffer right now. Of course, there was so much power behind that attack that he now has to do it and try to get every last ounce of energy. He also raced in Canada, by the way, so he only returned on Monday and now racing back on the Citadelle de Namur. Lotto Destiny are putting everything at it to try and catch this man. He's still at the front. This is not 15 seconds. I don't believe that this gap is 15 seconds, but he still has got a gap. But I think that last kilometre is going to be the longest kilometre in the career of Georg Zimmermann.
And you can see just how much this is hurting. You can see he's on the tops, he gets himself onto the drops, he tries to get some leverage, get out of the saddle, and he's one of those riders who's capable of pushing a really, really big gear. And now Lotto Destiny, they're one of their riders, done, pulled off the front. Uno X Mobility, try and salvage something, 11 seconds. Alex Aramburu immediately reacting, starting to move forward. Trentin's there in the black jersey for Tudor Pro Cycling, and he's in great form too, the Italian. Another little pinch point. There is Georg Zimmermann. Oh, this is going to be heartbreak.
Yeah, this is going to be one of those moments that everybody is going, oh no. But that final kilometre is going to be too long, too hard for Georg Zimmermann. It looked so promising for the German of Intermarché Wanty. He signed a new contract this year, the 26-year-old, but Uno X, they are bringing him back. They're not there yet. He can still go on and still fight for the win, but then he has to get into that final corner. How much energy does he have left after that long-range attack? Alex Aramburu, he's just sitting on the wheel there of the Uno X Mobility rider. Same goes for Matteo Trentin. And here we are, the moment of heartbreak for Georg Zimmermann. So we do have a sprint. We have Tim Wellens leading out his teammate. We have Adria still there, Matteo Trentin, Aramburu going into that final corner first. That is usually a good point to be. Alex Aramburu with a really long sprint. Looks like Matteo Trentin is on the deck there. But Alex Aramburu with that really, really, really long sprint. Is he going to hold on towards the finish line? Is he going to hold on? It's just by... No, he's not.
Roger Adria gets it. Two Spaniards fighting it out for the victory there. And Aramburu, wow. I mean, it's such a long sprint from that bottom corner. And you can see, it's hard to see from the camera angle, but you're still climbing. It's only around, what, 1%, 2%, but it's such a long sprint from that final corner. 280 meters to go. Just pipped to the post.
After a rather marvellous Vuelta where he was so important for Primož Roglič. This is his first race back. He crashed in that corner, Matteo Trentin. That was really sad to see. But Roger Adria, he wins this race, and he's been very, very, very active. Let's take us through that final 300 meters, Hannah.
For Aramburu, the Spanish champion, he did everything right. He knew that he needed to be first into that corner. He knew that he could launch the sprint really early, and he's another rider who's got that capability, that ability to sprint for a long, long time. But you just see that the rider here from Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe just comes round right at the last moment. What a performance. Just managed to use the slipstream. Comes round. It's only in, what, the last